Hey everybody, this is my 40-gallon Waterfall tank, and I recently got in here and I did a bunch of plant trimming, and one of my concerns was that some of these plants might have gotten their roots down into the material this waterfall is made out of. It's basically just that expandable spray foam, and I've got it painted with rubber silicone, whatever. And it would be very easy for the roots to just basically grow right through that. And if they did that without being yanked around or moved or disturbed, it wouldn't actually create a leak, or may not create a leak. Now, when I first got this tank set up, I did have a leak. It was dripping in the back, and I just put a tray in the back to collect the water, and slowly over time the leak just went away. And I assume either just detritus and crud collected in whatever tiny little hole was leaking or whatever. But when I was in here working the other night, my concern was once again that tugging on that arrowhead plant here in particular. This one, I just got done feeding everybody. That's why I'm still got the fish food in my hand. This one in particular is really rooted in, and there's nothing there for it to be rooted into. So that one is the one that concerns me. Now, when I was feeding everybody tonight, I happened to look over here, and I noticed a bunch of wetness down here, and the carpet was all wet. Not really wet, but wet enough. It's dripping. And the reason I actually have these towels hanging here is from when I first set this tank up, I was getting dripping, and instead of the water running down this way and dripping, I was getting it all over the place down there, which is why that bucket sits there. But these two paper towels here actually wick the water and will cause it to drip. And I normally keep a large metal tray under here. I need to go get it, but for now I just toss this under here because it happened to be sitting in the room, and it will collect water as it drips. And over the last half an hour or so, maybe 20 minutes, those couple little drops right there are all that have actually accumulated in there. So again, it's not dripping bad, but that is definitely water all underneath of that piece of wood right there. And then obviously, of course, you can see how wet it is there. You can see water sitting in this channel. So I do get water that weeps out sometimes. You can actually see moistness and mold and stuff growing under there. So it's definitely leaking from the inside out. And if you actually put your ear against this, you can really hear the water just like pounding on it. You can even feel it. So, the water is flowing right on the other side of this stuff. And all it's got to protect it is that little bit of GE silicone number 2 that I put on there. And another place I get leaks is around this edge. Water splashes up onto this, and then it drips onto this, and sometimes it'll drip over, and I'll wind up getting water that runs down into this channel, and then eventually we'll make it around the back or the front and drip down, and I'll find that on the floor occasionally. Or sometimes it'll be something similar to this. This leaf would be like that. Well, now it's off on the floor. But the leaf would be here, splashing would drip against it, the water would run down the front of the tank. I've had issues in this corner where the water was dripping again right onto the outside edge and running down the outside of the tank rather than inside. But what we've got going on now is a leak that comes from somewhere in there. That's where it leaked before when I first started. I never was able to figure it out, and like I said, eventually it just sort of healed itself up and kind of self-patched. So that's going to be my plan for this. You'd be amazed at how many things in this hobby will go away if you just ignore them and let them work themselves out. There are some things that absolutely require immediate attention. There are things that require attention at some point, but there are plenty of things that if you just ignore them, they really will just go away. And so let's hope for the best and hope that that's what happens with this situation. And in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and get my metal tray set back up, and that holds enough water that even if that was steady, dripping, if we were seeing this kind of dripping, I'd be fine till tomorrow morning before I even had to worry about coming in here and emptying the tray or anything like that. So unless it really springs a leak, like finger in the dike kind of leak, I'm not too worried about it. It's gonna, probably wind up closing itself up, especially if it really is a result of these roots growing through there. As the roots grow back in and fill in, the roots themselves will probably plug the hole. Or, you know, again, one can hope. So anyway, there you go. There's my big discovery on a Friday night. I got a leak in my waterfall tank. So thanks for watching. Make sure you're subscribed, and I will see you real soon on the next one.